All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is me, Mike Valentine, D Cleat Geek. It is cheese with all kinds of holes right there. And it is all of you. And you're with us today on the Lights Out Sports Podcast special edition for the NFL Championship. Yes, we're going to do several different things. But first, I want to find out how my buddy's been doing lately. Cheese, how you been?
It's been a good week, minus I still can't get in my X account. X support is the worst customer service ever, worse than Comcast. So other than that, hopefully I get in soon. But sometimes it says online it can take 4 or 5 requests. They'll finally do something about it. But hey, I got coffee, and it even says coffee, so you know what you're drinking. So there you go.
There you go. That's very important.
Yes. I like
yes,
coffee.
We need to know what we're drinking. We need to know how we're getting ourselves pumped up for these games today. And hopefully all of our fans out there are allowing us to help them get pumped up for these games today. I know Cheese has got a bunch of stats. We even said off air, we're not 100% sure who we're picking in these games until we literally get to it on this show. So we'll
I might change my mind. I might change my mind. This is really tough. I don't know who I'm picking. I don't know. I'm going to pick Buffalo and Philadelphia probably.
There we go. That'll work. I'm going to pick Cincinnati and Arizona. So we're good.
Oh, that's bad.
Yes. We'll have a terrible Super Bowl. Okay. All right, guys, let's start the show. All right, guys. Hey, thank you guys very much for joining us. Got to say, almost up to 250 views just on X alone from our last podcast event that we had on Tuesday. Fantastic. Thank you guys for doing all that. And that's even with Cheese not having his account up right the moment. So for those of you, I'll let Cheese talk to you about it here in just a second. But if you're getting stuff from Cheese's account, I don't think you want to do anything with those things, right, Cheese?
If you're getting DMs from me on X, just delete the conversation. Do not respond. There's some guy posting crypto that has hacked my account, but I just keep doing tickets. Hopefully, eventually, I'll get it back. So we'll see.
All right, that's what we hope for. Eventually, hopefully, he'll get that site back. I know a lot of you guys go over there to his X account, and then you also go over to his YouTube account. So, Cheese, go ahead, man. Let's get rid of this early. What's your YouTube account, sir?
I'll mention it multiple times. It's at Football with Cheese, CHEEZ. Go check it out. I just did a video on Indiana and then their Cinderella National Championship. I talked about Bills firing Sean McDermott and the Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy and why it's a terrible, terrible hire.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a few moments because that's how we're going to start the show. We are going to start the show today with some of the coaching things that have happened, and then we're going to get into these two games. So I tell you what, it's a connection to me. It's a connection to you. So because it's a connection to each of us, let's start the show off right there with this hiring that's happened in just the last few hours. The Green Bay Packers have decided that former Arizona Cardinal head coach Jonathan Gannon is the best for their new defensive coordinator. So first of all, Cheese, why did they have to even hire a new defensive coordinator? What happened to the Packers' old defensive coordinator?
Jeff Hafley took the head coaching job with the Miami Dolphins. Love Jeff Hafley. Could not have picked a worse roster he's not going to win anytime soon, unfortunately. But, he's a great leader. He's a great coach. I hate to lose him, but, good hire for Miami.
All right. So that's why he had to go. So now let's focus a little bit on the hiring here for your Packers. And again, so I want to start off with kind of a crazy question. And that's this. What does it mean that the Packers were able to hire a defensive coordinator before the Arizona Cardinals were able to hire a head coach?
It's easier to hire coordinators. Usually you don't interview as many. Head coaching, sometimes you interview 13 to 15 guys. Usually it's 7 to 10, but some teams like the Titans, like the Browns, like the Cardinals, are being very thorough. Titans have made a decision. Raiders, they just want to make sure they get the right guy. Coordinators are just typically, sometimes you interview 4 or 5 guys, and that's what Green Bay did. It's what they did last time when they hired Halfley. So that's why. It's just usually a quicker hire.
Yeah, but do you not think that it's because, there's a reason why nobody wants the Browns job, right? There's a reason why nobody wants the Raiders job. Do you think the Arizona Cardinals? I mean, come on, we don't really have to say it, do we?
A lot of people pulled out of the Browns job. Yeah, a lot of people have pulled out. But no, it's possible the Cardinals are waiting for somebody that's still coaching.
Okay.
Like maybe Vance Joseph, we'll see.
No.
Well, let's just, before we get into, let's see, who do you want to coach the Cardinals?
Well, I don't want Vance Joseph. I wouldn't mind Kubiak.
He's still coaching.
The other day. You're catching me off guard here. I didn't have my notes from the other day.
So Clint Kubiak is still coaching. He's the Seahawks offensive coordinator. I'm going to throw 3 names out here.
Sure, go ahead.
That are, allegedly 3 of the finalists. Raheem Morris, which I would not hire. Twice retread coach. I don't think he's terrible, but he can do better. Mike LaFleur, which I wouldn't hire anyone named LaFleur. He's offensive coordinator for the Rams, still coaching. But this is who I want to. This is who I would want. This is who Arizona should hire. Anthony Campanile. He's the defense coordinator of the Jaguars. He's a leader. He's a motivator. He used to be the Packers linebacker coach. When he was assistant in Miami, had this unbelievable speech on Hard Knocks. And the Jaguar defense went from like a joke, like easy to move on, to actually pretty good. Like he completely turned it around. And that's who Arizona should hire. Anthony Campanile. That's who I want to hire.
I'm not saying I don't like the Campanile hire, and I wouldn't be disappointed if that's what happens. But I also believe that we can tie this in. We didn't do this before the show. I'm liking how this is. The two of us have been doing this for so long now with each other. We are just playing off each other so well now, and I know our fans see it because our numbers are climbing right now as we continue to talk. So I don't want a defensive guy. We've already got the defense here in Arizona. I don't want another defensive guy. I want an offensive guy. How important do you think that is when you've got one side of the ball pretty much done? And I'm going to connect the dots here in a second because there's a reason why the Packers hired Jonathan Gannon, and I think that's the reason. So talk to me here, Cheese. Do you think it's really important to get the right side of the ball when you're looking at your next head coach?
I think you just need the right guy, the right leader. I don't think it's as important. A lot of teams do, though. I think majority of head coaches are offensive-minded, especially if they have a young quarterback. They want offensive-minded to develop the quarterback. So most teams prefer offense, so I get why you're doing that. I just want the right guy. And John Harbaugh was a special teams coach before he got hired, and he less than 18 years in that job. So True. It's really about the right guy. But I get it if you want an offensive minded. Yeah, Clint Kubiak would be great, and it's possible they're waiting for him. There has not been a lot of rumors coming to Arizona like other teams. We pretty much knew the Titans were down to like 2 or 3 guys. We just haven't heard a lot out of Arizona.
Well, the other guy that's starting to come out now is Kubiak's. I guess there's another Kubiak relative that's out there. Talk to me about that guy.
His brother, Clay Kubiak, yes, he's offensive coordinator in San Francisco. He's got some interviews as well. So, and Anthony Weaver's another one that I know the Cardinals interviewed twice. He's defensive coordinator of the Dolphins, former defensive lineman for the Texans in the NFL. But, Cardinals have interviewed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 guys. 15 so far.
I don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, if they go with your philosophy of I want to get the right guy, then okay, take their time, interview a whole bunch of people, and cross your fingers that you get it right, I guess. Well, you know what? Let's not say that. If they're going to interview a bunch of people, they're doing more than crossing their fingers, hopefully. They're researching them, they're interviewing each other, because that's what happens and stuff like this when you sit down across the table from each other. And they want the best fit. Now, I want to ask you this about the Cardinals too. Because they don't have an offensive coordinator anymore, he went to Detroit. Does that make a difference when you're looking at offense and defensive head coaching?
No, because nowadays when you get interviewed, they want to know who you're bringing in staff. Like Jeff Halfley, before the season ended, was calling around the league trying to say, would you be interested in coming to be my coordinators, my assistants? So they want to know in interviews now. It didn't used to be this way at all. They want to know who are you bringing in as your assistants. Like Kevin Stefanski took the Atlanta job. They wanted to keep Ulbrich, their defense coordinator. The owner, Arthur Blank, wanted to keep him. So you had to be okay with that. And Stefanski was. But some people might not have been. So it's a very important decision, like who you're bringing in, what style do they run. And if you're an owner and they're like, I'm bringing this guy in, and you don't have the personnel for it, and you take 2 or 3 years, you say you're hiring a defensive coach and he wants to bring this offensive coordinator, doesn't a good fit. You're like, no, that's not a good fit. You might not get the head coaching job. So they call around and pretty much, have that plan in place when they do.
Well, I'm sure they all have friends. I mean, we all have these coaching trees and stuff like that seem to be, working really well. I mean, look at the, we won't really get into it right at the moment, but if you need to, go over on the X account for our conglomerate, which is All Gloves Off Sports Media. You can go over to All Gloves Off SM on X, and I have a stat up there with a picture of the Nick Saban tree. Yeah, just look at the Nick Saban tree. It's those roots and those branches are pretty impressive. So
Kyle Shanahan tree is pretty impressive too.
It is. Yeah. You're 100% right. So let's go back, kind of focus on this for a moment. So Gannon, in his 3 years in Arizona, and this is why I think he got hired by the Packers. You can tell me if I'm right, wrong, indifferent, whatever your opinion is here, sir. But 3 years in Arizona, only 2 defensive teams gave up more points than did Arizona in those combined 3 years. Do you think that had something to do with the reason why he is now the Packers defensive coordinator?
Yeah, and let's be honest, this. They don't have, like, this year maybe, more talent. They didn't have a ton of talent his first 2 years on the defensive side of the ball. So that's really impressive that he's able to do it. Hello. And I saw another stat. In his 3 years, they were first in EPA per play, which is expected points added, in the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, not so great, but could be the offense. Maybe it's the offense's fault, but the first 3 quarters, number 1. So his defense analytically is a lot better than you think. If you just look at yards per game, it's maybe not going to look as great, but he did the best of the personnel he had. And I think finally this past year, they finally had the personnel for him to run his defense, and they never got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, so I get all that. We got some people asking us about the weather. So, I'm in Arizona. The weather that happens to the rest of you people does not affect me out here. Like, it's always sunny. We were like looking outside and it was raining a little. We were like, what is this crap coming from the sky? So let's get to some of these things, right? Here's our buddy Roger, who is with the Red Hot Reds podcast. Did you get any snow? I did not.
Snow.
How about you, Cheese?
It's possible, but no. It didn't. No precipitation. It did rain yesterday, but it was still warm enough. But no snow.
All right. So we're looking at different things. Here comes one of our other regulars, William. Here he's taking a break in Greenville, South Carolina, from the light snow and ice. Ice is much worse than snow, ladies and gentlemen. This was way less serious than forecast. Well, I'm glad for that. And thrilled that these guys are doing a show. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We really do. We try to do some different things, and for all of you guys. And lastly here, no. There's a reason why I moved out here. When you get to Arizona, Roger, and one of these days, maybe you and Ricky will come out and do spring training and stuff with me. But there's a saying out here, and it's called, you don't shovel sunshine. So, yes, you can shovel snow all you want, sir. We are not shoveling any sunshine today. So, love all you guys. Thank you for your comments. I see it keeps coming across. Which front office, Zay? Tell us who you're sick of.
I'm guessing either Green Bay or Arizona. Those are the 2 teams we're talking about.
Right.
Probably one of those.
But we don't know which.
Yes, I would be sick of both of those. No, I think Arizona. I think they had a good draft. I think they're going the right direction. They got to figure out quarterback. Ramen is freezing. Yeah. I have a long sleeve shirt on. I mean, what does that tell you?
No, no.
You did.
No.
Yeah, look. Yeah, Houston Astros. Look at that. Baseball. You love baseball, right?
I love baseball, but here's the weird part. You're wearing the baseball shirt. I'm wearing the Cardinals football shirt. So, I think it's the first time since we've done this that both of us have not worn just like a plain tee or something like that, because that's what both of us seem to kind of wear. So, and Zay gives us some clarification for the Green Bay front office.
I'm with you, Zay. I'm with you. I made many videos about that. I kind of disagree, but
well, why do you
I think
disagree?
Mike's got some questions. We're just about to talk about that.
Yes, we are. So you're going to disagree. I'm gonna kind of take this first part here with the coaches and stuff, and then Cheese is really hyper focused on these games. So I'm gonna turn some things over to him, and we're gonna really play off each other on this show for the enjoyment of our fans out there. And again, that number just keeps growing and keeps growing. We appreciate it. We are on X at All Gloves Off SM. We will soon be back on Cheese's X once he gets it back from the hackers in Pakistan or wherever they're from. And then we are now, I want to throw this out there. If you are a Twitch person, we are now on Twitch as well. So we are on so many different platforms right at the moment, and it's all because of you. Let me rattle them off real fast, and then we'll get into this coaching stuff. So we're now on Twitch. We are now on Spotify. We're now on Apple Music. We're on X. We are on YouTube. And of course, Cheese, when they go over to our YouTube, what is it and what are they supposed to do, buddy?
The YouTube is All Gloves Off Sports Media. Okay. And what you do is you hit subscribe button. It's really easy. It's free. I'm not going to charge you. And you hit the bell for notification, because you never know we do one of these shows. We could do an instant reaction. We could do a watch along. And if you're on YouTube, hit the button that looks like this. Thumbs up. Really helps out the channel.
All right. Fantastic. So we got some different things to cover here. I've already gone over the first stat with Jonathan Gannon and why I think he got hired as the new defensive coordinator over in Green Bay. And that was, the fact that his defenses didn't give up a lot of points. And then, Cheese, I'd like for you to help me out here, because I am not the big football guru that you are. And I think you'll be able to do this better than what I can. So what does it mean? Because this is a Jonathan Gannon thing. It's called a 3-high system. What is that, and why is it just a Jonathan Gannon thing, or is it not, and I'm just wrong?
Toward the end of his tenure, Dom Capers ran something similar. Hey, hey, doing? That's friend father. So it's basically 3 safeties, and hello. He likes to play 3 safeties, and let me just tell the personnel. So he likes to do 3 down linemen, 2 edge rushers, like linebacker, defensive, and hybrids, 1 off-ball linebacker, 3 safeties, and 2 corners. Okay? That defense, it sounds like only 1 linebacker. Maybe it's not good for run defense. But when you have basically 5 down linemen, and then 3 safeties, one kind of plays the robber, they call it. Like Buda Baker played a lot of robber, where you can play back, up, you can be cover, you can play the slot, you can play the linebacker, you can play deep. Basically, versatile player. And you have 3 safeties, so it helps coverage because you have more defensive backs out there. Safeties cover better than linebackers. But it also helps the run defense because you start with 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and he usually rushes 4. He doesn't blitz a ton. And 1 guy drops in coverage, and you don't know which one. So it's harder to double team. So this is going to be good for Micah Parsons, I think. Jeff Hafley ran more of a cover 3, 1 deep safety, 1 in the box, 3 corners. But the Packers have the personnel to do this because they have 3 safeties. They have Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, and Javon Bullard, who probably be the robber most of the time because he can play the slot. So they have the personnel to do it. They do have to get a nose tackle, though. You have to – his system, you have to have, like Dalvin Tomlinson. He had Calais Campbell. He had Walter Nolan. You have to have better defensive linemen, and he did in Philadelphia. So they got to upgrade there. But, yeah, I think the system will work in Green Bay. He wasn't my first choice, wasn't my second choice, but he probably was my third choice. I would have preferred Christian Parker, who took the Cowboy job, or waiting for Jim Leonard. He's the passing game coordinator of the Broncos, but that's fine. So I'm okay with this hire, and he's got head coaching experience. And one more thing I want to say, some Packer fan messaged me and said, the play calling was terrible for Arizona. I watched a lot of the games. He didn't call the defensive.
He didn't call him. Yeah.
He didn't call him. So I was like, 100%. He didn't call him. So he did such a good job with Philadelphia.
But you're 100% right. He didn't call the plays over here. Now, he had a big influence on the personnel that they brought in? And he had a really big influence on the defensive personnel as far as on his sideline and up in the booth and all of that. So Jonathan Gannon had his hand all over that defense. Just because he wasn't calling plays doesn't mean that he didn't have a big part in that. So I don't want people in Green Bay to think that whatsoever. I'm glad you said that they have the right personnel, but yet they do have to get one piece. Mm-hmm. So as the big draft analyst, is there somebody that's going to be coming up in the you knew this was coming, didn't you? Look, you're already smiling.
I know I have to go to my notes. I wasn't expecting this.
Okay. Okay.
But
go ahead.
Well,
I'm just going to ask you, you go through your notes and I'll ask the question. All right. I'll give you a few seconds to fish through them here.
Oh, I got it.
Is there a person who can fill that void that they need? And man, we are just getting a ton of comments. We'll get to all those here in just a second too.
They also need to upgrade corner, I think, because I think the corners will have to play more press man. In cover 3, you drop. The corners would drop in more zone. So the corners will probably have to play more press man. That's why Will Johnson was such a good fit for his defense, their second-round pick out of Michigan. Dominique Orange from Iowa State, because Green Bay doesn't have a first
Orange.
Yes.
Dominique Orange.
They don't have a first round pick, so I can't look at first rounders, so I can't look at Caden McDonald's not going to be a Packer.
Yeah, he won't be there.
Dominique Orange, Iowa State, and Dante Corleone, Cincinnati, would fit as a nose tackle. Luckily, it's a pretty good nose tackle draft, but they've got to get someone in the middle of that defense. It's been a huge problem for years, probably since P.J. Raji left. So, and Kenny Clark was a good player. He was traded in the Micah Parsons deal. They haven't replaced him. So, they've got to get a nose tackle, and they need to upgrade cornerback as well. But for the most part, they do have the personnel to run his system.
Now, I also want to tag this some for our Arizona Cardinals listeners, because I know there's a lot of people that listen to the Lights Out Sports podcast that are also Cardinals fans. So how important is it, Cheese, to get someone else to come in as the defensive person that runs the same system as when Jonathan Gannon has now left? How important is that? Because they've already got all the pieces, right? So why would they change?
They drafted the last few years to fit Gannon's, like I said, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, just like perfect fits. Budda Baker, they have the personnel, so they do need to get someone that runs a similar scheme. It's very important because there are times where teams, they hire a new coordinator and then it takes 2 drafts in free agencies to get the right personnel for it. And finally they do, but that takes 2 years where you're maybe not a contender. So it's very important to get someone who runs a similar scheme.
Okay, so William, I do see your comment. Give me a minute. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But I want to ask Cheese this, because Zay brings this up. He says it just sounds like more off coverage and still big plays across the middle of the field. Agree or disagree, Cheese?
Disagree. Jonathan Gannon's style is do not give up big plays. We're going to give you the underneath. It's a defense designed to limit the big plays. The problem with the middle of the field is Quay Walker. He's a free agent. They better not re-sign him. Jeff Hafley liked to have 2 linebackers on the field, Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker. And Quay Walker's horrible in coverage. He's terrible instincts, terrible technique. And that was the biggest problem in the middle field. With Jeff Hafley, you need a linebacker that can cover. In this system, I don't think it'll be as big a problem because you're going to have Edgerrin Cooper and a safety like Javon Bullard in the middle field and not Quay Walker. So I don't see that happening, but good point, Zach.
All right, so we'll get to this one here. Hang in there. And you can kind of read that. It's not really sports related necessarily, but we still love each and every one of you. Thank you for all the comments. I will get to them here and post them up as we receive them, at least relatively close to when you type them all in. So William, we appreciate you. This is why I didn't want Jonathan Gannon gone yet. I thought he deserved another year or so. I know you didn't think that, and now all of a sudden he's the Green Bay Packers coordinator. It's kind of a unique situation for you and I doing this podcast together because of the way we felt. I'm going to be really, really upset if Jonathan Gannon goes to Green Bay and their defense with Micah Parsons and everybody else is all of a sudden like a top 10 defense. I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Oh, it should be a top 10 defense. It should be.
And
if he's healthy, he's got to come back healthy, Micah, obviously.
Right, but I think I'm really going to be upset with this hire because I didn't want Jonathan Gannon to go, and now he's gone to a defense that's pretty close As you've already said, to having a lot of the personnel that he needs and things like that. And then Arizona went through and drafted a bunch of guys that are designed for his defense, yet they only gave him 3 years. So it leads me to this, Cheese. How many years should you give a head coach, and how many years should you give coordinators, and why is there going to be a difference, I'm assuming, in your answer?
It depends. It depends on so many things. A lot of times teams will give you a long time if you have a good quarterback. You're always making the playoffs anyway. And he just didn't. And this season, he won 9 games last year. And so the expectation was, okay, let's get to the playoffs. And the offense completely collapsed. And they had so many bad fourth quarters. He got fired because they collapsed in so many games, lost so many close games. Mm-hmm. The offense and defense had some really bad fourth quarters. And I don't know if it's Gannon's fault. I really don't. But that is why he got fired. And winning 3 games, God, if they won 6 games, it would have been a bad year. Like, they really should have been better than that. I know Kyler Murray got hurt and benched. But it's just the way they lost so many games. It's the way they decided not to double team Micah Parsons in the fourth quarter. And he started sacking Brissett like crazy. Cost them that game. Just little things like that.
And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But can't you point to the fact that they had Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback and say, okay, the coach needs at least 1 more year with a decent quarterback?
Possibly. I could have seen them going either way. Yeah, Brissett can't move, so he's easy to tackle. He has no mobility, so it's easier to scheme against. But, yeah, I mean, he's a good backup, but not a good
right, and 100%. He's a good backup. I'll give you that. He's a guy that comes in and can keep you into games when he needs to. But he's not a starting quarterback in this league, in my opinion. So I don't know how you judge a coach when you've got a guy behind center for the majority of the games that's not a starting quarterback. But let me hop off my soapbox here.
Just real quick, if they had won 6 or 7 games, I think he would have kept his job. The fact that they won 3 was just not acceptable, and the way they lost some of those games, the way they lost the Titans game, that's about as bad as you're ever going to lose a game. And I know a lot of it was on the players, but still, some of it was on him. So. Yeah.
All right. Now we need to transition into this. And you've done a great job for me, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to transition into this, and then we're going to jump to Arthur Smith next. So if you're an Ohio State person, hang on. We're going to jump to Arthur Smith and his jump from Pittsburgh to Ohio State and what that means for each side. So hang on here, guys. But first, we need to talk about EPA per play.
Yeah.
So, Cheese, what in the world is that? And then we'll connect the dots between the Packers and Gannon and the Cardinals and Gannon. Go ahead, sir.
It's expected points added. So it's offense and defensive stat. You want it to be high on offense, low on defense. So every play every time you run a play, expected points added per play. I love this stat. It's an analytical stat. Jordan Love was number 1 in the NFL among quarterbacks, ahead of Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Drake May. Just throwing it out there. Brock Purdy was actually ahead of Jordan Love until the last game of Seahawks, and Purdy did nothing. But Gannon, his defense is almost really high in this category. And after week 9, did you know this? Arizona had the 12th best defense in the NFL at that time, and they never got hurt. And they collapsed. So actually, in the middle of the year, Green Bay was 11th, Arizona was 12th. So that's run and passing game combined, EPA per play. So Arizona's defense is better than you think.
I agree with you, and I'm about to kind of prove it to you, but I'm also about to say, okay, let me get to it. So this past season, the Cardinals were number 1 so it's expected play added or expected points added. What's the P stand for?
Expected points added.
Okay, so expected points added. So the Cardinals were number 1 in expected points added
the last 3 years. Yeah.
In the quarters 1, 2, and 3. And
correct.
Then, as you've already alluded to, in the fourth quarter, they dropped, are you ready? They dropped from 1, ladies and gentlemen, to 27. So they were 1 in quarters 1, 2, and 3, and then 27 in the fourth quarter. Cheese, you got some splaining to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And some of those, they had leads, and they maybe went into a prevent. I don't know. I'd love to ask Jonathan Gann about that. But they had some collapses. There's no doubt about it. So it is a little worrisome. I mean, it's the worst quarter for Matt LaFleur as well. So we'll see what happens. But, Yeah, but it tells me like the game plan's good. The defense starts off well. So, we'll see what happens. But the first 3 quarters is a great stat.
It's a great stat, and it does tell you that the game plan is good, because if it was they're great in the first 2 quarters, that means they studied film and they came out with a great game plan, and then they couldn't adjust because because that's what happens at halftime is the 2 teams adjust back and forth, and then if you do something terrible in the 3rd quarter, then it's like, okay, well, you can't adjust, or you don't know what you're doing at halftime, or you don't have the right coaching staff or something, right? But they had it 1, 2, and 3, so that encourages you, right?
It does, but I'll say this. After week 9, so many of the defensive players got hurt. So the defense really collapsed in the second half. So some of that stat is a little skewed because, you have 5 or 6 starters injured. You what are you going to do? No one has depth anymore. So that's part of it. Because like I said, they were 12th in the NFL in total EPA per defense after week 9. So
I hope we're not confusing you. We were trying our best to. We love these stats. I love stats. In fact, I'm getting ready to come out with a new podcast show. It's coming. It will start in 6 days. Saturday will be here before you know it. So every Saturday, I'm going to put some stats in there and do a smaller show and combine the 2 things together. Saturday will be debuting this coming Saturday, right here on all these channels. So. I want to get to Zay's question, too, here real quick before we move on. So I'll read it to you. He says, the real question is, do we have, and he's talking about the Packers as far as do we have the real juice on defense to be top 5? He says, I don't see it outside of 3 players, which is McKinney, Parsons, and Cooper. First, Cheese, would you add anybody to those 3 names? And do you think the Packers have a chance to be a top 5 defensive team now that you have Jonathan Gannon?
I would add Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle, as well. When he got hurt, the defense was already, even before Parsons got hurt, was already starting to collapse because he was getting sacked. He was getting open. When you double team Parsons, he was winning, and he was their second best rusher. And once he got hurt, they were tripling Parsons. No one else was getting pass rush. So I'd add Devontae Wyatt. I do, but they've got to get a nose tackle, and they have to upgrade at least 1, maybe 2 spots at corner. But other than that, it's a pretty good defense.
So then do you think your Packers should concentrate in the draft this year on defense?
Offensive line, too. Defense and offense. Yeah. Problem is, like half the league weakness is offensive line. And that's a story for another day why that is. But, either in free agency, they need to get a nose tackle, they need to get a corner, and they've got to upgrade at least 2 spots in the offensive line. They have to get a center. So, I think the defense is 2 or 3 stars away from being like elite. But like I said, you've got to get some good players in there.
Okay, and I want to explain to our viewers real quick. We're gonna be done here with the Jonathan Gannon to the Packers thing, unless Cheese wants to add anything to the end of this conversation. Okay. But I want to explain to you, this happened just a few hours ago. And this is not a brag thing for either one of us, because, I'm going to be the one to say it. We research this so much, like we get up in the morning. Okay, what's happened? What happened overnight? What did we miss? And, we knew we were going to do this show. We were texting each other back and forth this morning, almost annoyingly, because I'm like, geez, calm down. I'm trying to do research, man. Stop texting me back. And then, then I see something that's like, oh, we got to do this. And, oh, we have to look at this stat. And, oh, we got to do. So we were doing so much this morning for all of you guys. And we love this. We enjoy this. This is what, I still have some red going through my veins because, it's blood. And, I do the Reds and the Cardinals mostly. But Cheese over here with this green and yellow going through his veins. He was all kinds of research and stuff too. So this is not something we just throw together. You see the show, but it takes so much more to make this show than what you guys see. And we're doing it all for you guys. And we thank you for coming here and listening to us. And going to our shorts. We've had 7 shorts this week that have gotten over 1,000 views on our YouTube channel. So we appreciate that. We're really climbing in a lot of different areas, and you guys are really helping us do that. So once again, thank you guys very much. I know Cheese feels the same way. He's over there shaking his head. So yes, he feels the same way, and we appreciate each and every one of you. All right, Cheese, let's jump to the Arthur Smith conversation. Mm-hmm. Arthur Smith is expected to be hired. So the article that I read said expected. I don't know if it's a done deal yet. First, do you know? Is it a done deal? Has Ohio State hired him?
I have not seen it's a done deal, but that's expected. He interviewed for the Titans offensive coordinator job. He either decided not to take it, which I would probably want that job, but because you actually have the quarterback, or he just wasn't getting it, so he chose Ohio State.
Okay. So if you guys don't know, Brian Hartline, who was there at Ohio State, has left to be the head coach of USF. So there's a vacant opening there. Mm-hmm. Smith, let's give you a little bit of background on Smith. He's the former Atlanta Falcons head coach. He was in the second season being the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. The Steelers did make the playoffs in both his seasons as the offensive coordinator. And of course, as most of you probably know by now, Mike Tomlin has stepped down. So now the Steelers, this is kind of what I want to focus on for a couple seconds, at least in the beginning of it. So now the Steelers need to bring in someone else for his old position. Cheese, the Steelers have a new coach, and now they'll have a new coordinator. If you're a fan of the team, are you okay with them just kind of wiping the slate clean and starting all over again, or do you want some continuity with your team?
I think with them, I think they just need to start over. I mean, we'll talk about how bad their hire was, but Pittsburgh was just, mediocre, just average, 9 or 10 wins. It might just be good to get a whole new coaching staff in there because it just wasn't quite clicking. They were really inconsistent. Some games they look like a contender. Some games they look like you should pick in the top 10. It's just – so it's kind of a mess there. So it might be good just to get a whole new coaching staff.
Okay. So, that's kind of the Pittsburgh angle. We will talk about Mike McCarthy here in just a moment. We will talk about that hire here in just a few minutes. When you said, hey, I think I'd take the Tennessee job, I would have to disagree with you. And maybe it's my Ohio State fandom, within me that says this. But if I'm Arthur Smith, I get it that it's an NFL job and that you do have your quarterback, but you don't really have a whole lot else because even the running back Pollard is a free agent. So you're not sure what you're going to have over there. When you go to Ohio State, you've got Julian Sayin as your quarterback. You've got Jeremiah Smith as your number one and mega star receiver. And you've got a guy in Bo Jackson who really, really improved as the season went on last year. And you're just going to move forward with him. Why wouldn't you take the Ohio State job over the Tennessee Titan job?
Okay, we'll talk about Ohio State first. So I don't actually love this hire. I get it. Look, they would have both their coordinators would be former head coaches in the NFL. That can only help recruiting. That can only help recruiting. That's not, I mean, that's a name. That's good. But, they had Chip Kelly before. They've had Jeff Hafley, so who's now the coach of the Dolphins. He was the defensive coordinator of Ohio State about 6 years ago. Excellent.
Well, you taught me something new there today, buddy. I appreciate that.
When they won the national title. So, yeah. But it's a weird fit because Arthur Smith loves to run 2 and 3 tight end sets. And as we know, Ohio State is wide receiver U. They've had 5 straight years of first-round pick wide receiver. It's about to be 6, Carnell Tate, and it's going to be 7 next year with Jeremiah Smith. 7 straight. So it's a wide receiver, driven offense. And he loves 12 and 13 personnel. He loves tight ends. But so it's maybe a strange fit. I know they play tight ends as well. Max Clare had a good year, but just little surprised about the fit. But the Titans, why I'd like that job, nowhere to go but up. The quarterback got better as the season went on. They're going to upgrade the O-line. They're going to upgrade receiver. They're going to upgrade tight end. The personnel wasn't great. It's only going to get better. So he'll look really smart. That's why I want that job. You're going to look smart in 2 years that offense is probably going to improve. So I really like how Cam Ward finished the season. That's why. But I get what you're saying. I mean, Ohio State, you're going to have as much talent offense as anybody in the country. Probably,
Yeah, I do like how they finished the season. I'll give you that. And I will also take this moment. He may or may not be listening to this show right at the moment. He's a friend of the show. And I want to make sure we get him on here in the next couple of weeks because of the Titans and everything else that they're doing. It's Mr. First Down. He's on X a lot. Great content guy. I don't usually promote people who aren't in our spot, which is, all gloves off sports media. Mr. First Down, first of all, you need to come over to All Gloves Off Sports Media and join the rest of us. But I do want to have you on the show here in the next couple of weeks so that we can all talk about Tennessee Titans and what it means for everybody involved. While we're still on the Ohio State thing, though, so this is going to be, as you mentioned, the second NFL coach that Ryan Day has been able to bring over to Ohio State. His first one, Matt Patricia, I don't know if you know this or not, number one defense in the league. He only allowed 219.1 yards per game last season. So when you have success like that, do you like the fact that Ryan Day is kind of doubling down on the NFL success?
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to help recruiting. They know what they're doing, and they run both run pro style offense and defense. And if you're a father of a kid, don't you want them to go to a school that runs? If their goal is the NFL, to runs that system, it's really tough.
Yes.
It's really tough to evaluate. And I love Tennessee. I'm a Tennessee fan. It's so hard to evaluate those players. Ole Miss, same thing. Now it's going to be LSU. That style is so tough because NFL teams don't run it. So when they run, it helps your kid get drafted. Okay, look, they are successful in NFL schemes. So it can only help you when it comes to NFL draft.
Right. So I'm glad you brought that up because, yes, I do want my guys, I want my kid in an NFL pro system already. And just from a draft analyst standpoint, as you are with your channel Football with Cheese, is it easier to evaluate people who are already in a pro style like what Ohio State runs and what they're probably going to run now on offense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so much easier because they work in the system. And there are a lot of, NFL teams that run similar system to Arthur Smith. There are a lot of defenses run similar system to Matt Patricia. And if you run that same system and this person is an incredible player in that system, then the transition will be easy. You're going to get a lot of contribution from that rookie.
Okay. So Pittsburgh improved their total offense as far as rush defense and scoring in 2024, the first year that Smith took over. They ranked 11th in rush, and the Steelers added multiple pieces to their offense, and then they went ahead of schedule, went and got Aaron Rodgers, of course. Pittsburgh finished this season 15th in the NFL in points per game. They only allowed 23.4 points per game. So just if he stays the same, and he goes and let's say that he scores 23.4 points per game. So we'll go 24. If Ohio State scores 24 points every game with the defense that they already have, what do you think the outcome is going to be for the entire season for the Ohio State Buckeyes?
No, it's going to go well, but they're going to score more than 24 points per game. They're going to score. They're going to score more than that. But the people returning, with all the personnel they got returning, they're going to score a lot more points than that. Okay. Absolutely. It's great for Bo Jackson because, like I said, he likes to run the ball, likes a 2 tight end sets. And I'll say this about Arthur Smith. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if they hadn't traded George Pickens? Like Aaron Rodgers and George Pickens were like made for each other. He's the type of receiver that works so well with Aaron Rodgers. And then they trade him to the Cowboys and he has this monster year. My God, that really hurt the Steelers not having a weapon besides DK Metcalf. And man, who knows what would have happened? Okay, they got a 3rd round pick. Oh, big whoop coming up. Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. Let's jump to another coach real fast. And, you're going to have to help me with time because we do have to get to these 2 games. Yeah. And, I'm sure you're watching all the preview stuff on some of those other terrible networks that do a much less job than what we're doing. Let's go with Mike McDaniel for a moment.
Yes.
So I think he was like the most sought after offensive coordinator candidate, but he chose the Chargers over the Lions and even possibly the Buccaneers, Eagles, and Titans. Do you like this hire for the Chargers, Mike McDaniel and Charger Blue?
Oh, God, I love it. I made a video on it. If you go to my channel, at Football with Cheese, CAGZ, I broke it down, but I'll just be quick here. I do. He has never, he had Tua, okay? He's never really had a good offensive line there, and he's never had the receiving depth. He's never had a tight end like Oronde Gadsden. And Justin Herbert, big upgrade over Tua. They do need to fix the interior offensive line, but this is such a great hire, and he'll fit their personnel perfectly. I get why he chose the Chargers because their offense underachieved, mainly because of the offensive line. But you go to the Lions and Buccaneers, they already have great offenses. You're not going to necessarily look better. Okay, yeah, We already had good offenses, but the Chargers didn't. It should have been better. And he'll go over there. He'll look like a genius, and he'll be one of the most sought-after head coaches in next year's cycle. He got 4 head coaching interviews this year after being fired by Miami. Buffalo wanted to talk to him. So that tells you all you need to know. I think he's a great coach. And he commits to the run, too. He's been a run game corner. He's very good play designer in the running game. So Marion Hampton is like, heck yeah.
Right. All right, so a couple of things of what you just said. Number one, I'm going to scoot back to my Cardinals for a second. If you're going to hire a defensive guy, I would much rather you bring in ex-Buffalo Bill coach Sean McDermott if that's the defensive guy you're going to hire, personally. Secondly, you brought up the fact that, Mike McDaniel, probably one of the better offensive gurus in football right at the moment, and I would certainly agree. And for those of you who are Bengals fans, like I am as well, all you have to know is that they didn't even try to bring him in for their offensive coordinator spot. To me, that would have been perfect. You put those receivers and that talented quarterback out there and give Mike McDaniel the book and say, here, just make it happen. I mean, what a team they really could have constructed for only, a few million. I don't know what Mike McDaniel got paid. Do you know what Mike McDaniel got paid? I didn't see it really publicized.
I didn't. I'll say one more thing about Mike McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
He had an offense before they got Devon Achane. He had an offense a few years back. They won 11 games where he had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. All right. And designed the offense around that. We're going to get rid of it quick. Tua led the league in the quickest, less than 2 seconds, he was getting the ball out, or just over 2 seconds. We're going to get the ball in the playmakers' hands, Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and that's our offense. And it worked. They got to the playoffs. And Tyreek Hill gets hurt this year. And they can't do that. So he designed an offense around Devon Achane. And he won 7 games doing it. Some games, Achane just went off. And so he will adjust to whatever personnel he has based on injuries or the situation. And that is why he's such a good offensive coordinator.
All right. So I want to jump to Tennessee here for a moment because great Mike Macdonald stuff. They can get more over on your channel. And what is that one more time, sir?
It's at Football with Cheese, CHEEZ, and make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell for notification.
Absolutely. He does a fantastic video. It's over on our Twitter as well. It's linked there, so you can get to it either way, but it will take you right to that YouTube page where Cheese does a great job of breaking that down even further. It's about a 10-minute or so video on that. So, look at it between one of these one of the timeouts, or look at it during the 2-minute warning, or look at it during halftime of one of these 2 great games that we're about to talk about here on Sunday. So let's jump to I believe the name is pronounced Robert Saleh. I think that's how you say it.
Salah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a pretty good coach as far as I'm concerned. But let's look at it this way. So the Titans interviewed mostly people who had already head coaching experience. Would you agree with that, sir?
All but 2 or 3 candidates, yeah.
Right. So the favorite kind of came down to John Harbaugh, who, of course, went with the Giants. So we're just going to say he's out of the equation. Matt Nagy, oh, gosh. And then Robert Saleh.
Uh-huh.
Who do you think was the best choice, and did they make the best choice in Tennessee?
Yeah, I don't think Harbaugh was ever going to Tennessee. I think his agent used them to get $20 million a year from the Giants. I think that was his choice. So it came down to Nagy and Saleh, and the media's been pushing Matt Nagy. They were just pushing. Oh, he deserves a chance. He'd be a great coach, and he was an absolute disaster in Chicago. I've talked about it in my Titans video. I made a video about it. I broke it down. I'm not going to get too into it. He's not a good head coach. He didn't develop the quarterback. He would have been a disaster in Tennessee. Mitch Trubisky had so much talent. More talent. He's got more talent than Cam Ward. Didn't develop. And so Robert Saleh didn't go with the Jets, but it's the Jets. I think most of their problems were not his fault. So, and he's a great defensive mind, and the Titans defense needs a lot of help. So of those coaches between Nagy and Saleh, of all the coaches besides Harbaugh took another job, you're going to hire a retread coach, I would have picked Saleh as well. So I think it was a good hire.
Okay. So I'm sure you did because you watch all stuff NFL. Did you see that the Chiefs didn't even retain Nagy? Instead, they brought Eric Bieniemy back. So they were happier with another retread coordinator than they would have been to just keep Matt Nagy. And what does that say for the Chiefs, first of all? And what does that say for Matt Nagy's future endeavors in the NFL?
Well, it's possible he thought he was getting a head coaching job and said, move on for me. His contract ran out. So he was a free agent, so he wasn't tied to the Chiefs. And so they just decided to move on from Bieniemy. But the day before they hired Bieniemy, Salah, whatever, took the job. So they could have brought him back, but they chose not to. He's unemployed. I don't know if he gets one of these offensive coordinator jobs. I wouldn't hire him. He didn't call the plays in Kansas City. For some reason, he got the credit for Patrick Mahomes being great. But I'll say this: when Eric Bieniemy was the coordinator, that's Patrick Mahomes' best years. Eric Bieniemy has never got a head coaching job. People say he didn't interview well, but his game plans were very good when he was there. So I think he's an upgrade over Nagy as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and obviously the Chiefs do too, or they would have brought Nagy back. So I thought it was interesting how all those dominoes kind of fell as everything was going on. Speaking of dominoes that have fallen, now you've got Jesse Minter, who used to be with the Baltimore Ravens back in the day, right? And then he went to the Chargers. Now he's back with the Ravens. What's going on there, and why did the Ravens make this hire?
Real quick, I've got a text from a friend. He says that Jonathan Gannon, the Giants and Chargers, both Harbaughs, wanted to hire him, so Green Bay had to make a decision, hire Gannon or wait to talk to Jim Leonard, and they wanted to hire Gannon. So Gannon apparently was very sought after.
Interesting.
So you asked about Jesse Minter?
Yes.
Yes. I like this hire. He did so much the last 2 years as a Chargers defense coordinator with not a lot of talent. You look at that Chargers defensive roster, they have a few pieces, but overall, they don't get a lot of pass rush. Derwin James is amazing, obviously. They don't really have great linebackers. I don't see a lot of talent. I didn't think they'd be nearly this good. In the last 2 years, they look like one of the best defense in the NFL at times. So he's done so much with not a ton of talent. So I really like this move for the Ravens. And they used to have such a good defense. In the last 2 years, it's collapsed. So they needed to fix the defense. And he's young, up and coming. So he was definitely one of my favorite hires of this cycle. And I have a stat I want to read.
Sure, go right ahead.
There are now 3 head coaches that were on Michigan. Michigan football just a few years ago. Jesse Minter, he was a defense coordinator at Michigan. The defense coordinator before Jesse Minter was Mike McDonald, who's the coach of the Seahawks, who's still playing. And, of course, Jim Harbaugh, the coach of the Chargers. So that Michigan staff, there's now 3 coaches on that college staff that are head coaches in the NFL.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
not that I want to promote Michigan a whole lot, but
Yeah, I know you don't like Michigan, but yeah, he was the defensive coordinator before Minter, and he wanted to join the NFL and took the Ravens job. It was their defensive coordinator. And then now Jesse Minter's in Baltimore. And then there's a Harbaugh was in Baltimore. There's a Harbaugh. There's like all these connections.
There's a Harbaugh here and a Harbaugh there. Here a Harbaugh, there a Harbaugh, everywhere a Harbaugh, right?
There's a Kubiak everywhere. Yeah.
Yes. But we talk about these coaching trees and stuff, and I mean, this is a lot of what all of these people pay attention to. Once you get your foot in the door, then as long as you do well, it continues to do well for you. So yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so I know we're kind of rushing through these next few hires a little bit here, but we've also got 2 games to get to, and the games are starting before too long, so we want to make sure we get everything.
We got about an hour. We got plenty of time. Yeah, we got about an hour. So.
Okay, all right. Because I know we're going to concentrate on this one for a little bit. Let's look at what the Steelers were thinking hiring Mike McCarthy. And so let's start this off positive, okay? Because I know we're going to really jump into this awful negativity.
I want to know what, before we get to that, I just want to know what, if you're the Steelers, what do you think they were thinking when they hired him? I want to know what you think before I go off.
Okay, so I will give you this because, again, ladies and gentlemen, we do this. We talk a little bit kind of off air and on text and all of these kinds of things. Hang on, before we get to this, let's go back to here. One of our great fans has put something up here. So I like the Gannon hire. I don't care about the viral video of his. I'm not sure what that is.
I have no idea what that is either.
Yeah, the results of the team he has coached are what matters, and they've got pretty good results. Yeah, I mean, even going back to his Philadelphia days, which I assume that's what Pablo is doing here, is going back to his Philadelphia days. He's had good results in multiple spots. So I'm not saying it's a bad hire. In fact, I'm pissed as an Arizona Cardinals fan, that we let him go, and now he's going to go to Green Bay and probably revive his career and then go get another really good head coaching job in a couple years. So, Cheese, you want to wrap that up and tell us what you think there too, buddy?
I was just saying, I just got breaking news. Sean McDermott, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, apparently may take the year off, not take a coordinator job. So, so the Steelers, of all the people, it's the worst hire they possibly could make. Mike McCarthy has always had Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott. So of course you're going to win games. Of course your record's going to look good. He does have a Super Bowl. It's been a while, but that team was just so hot and so talented. So many playmakers. He had a stretch where they had as much talent as anyone, only won one Super Bowl with it. So many playoff losses they should have won, just like Matt LaFleur. It's a good story because he's from Pittsburgh, but it's like they went for the story more than the right fit. And this is not the Steelers' way. They go for a young, up-and-coming, defensive-minded coach, and it has worked. It worked with Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Say what you want, but it worked at least for a while. And they could have gone after like Chris Shula, who, by the way, Arizona could still hire. Let's just defensive coordinator.
I would not be opposed to that, because honestly, I took him off the board because I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers, this was a home run for them. I really thought Shula was going to the Steelers, so I didn't even consider him for Arizona, to be quite honest with you.
Grandson of Don Shula, football family, done a great job with the Rams defense. I think he's like 41. He was the perfect fit for like Pittsburgh style too, the way he runs his defense. But I am shocked, and the fans are livid. The fans are basically comparing to Mike Tomlin. We just basically got another Mike Tomlin who's 62 years old. And when I think of Mike McCarthy, Packers and Cowboys, I think of playoff games they should have won that he lost. I think that's what I think of when I think of Mike McCarthy.
All right, so I can't wait to do this because I got some notes in front of me. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have now become the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to, because here's the deal, right? Bill Cowher, well, let's go back to Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll, when he was hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers, was 37 years old. Bill Cowher, when he was hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers, 34 years old. Mike Tomlin, when he was hired, also 34. Mike McCarthy, as you just said, 62. They're going in a different direction, and some may say the wrong direction. But let me tell you why they're doing it, and it has nothing to do with football. Just like Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and how they run their organization, yes, I'm about to say it, has nothing to do with football. They went for the story. Oh, Mike McCarthy is a Pittsburgh native. And here's the thing. I think they're going to trade everybody. You just watch. This is just the beginning. I see them trading off everyone and starting this clean slate like all over again. But they still got to have something to sell tickets. You can't become the Cleveland Browns and just nobody wants to come to the stadium. Or if they do, they have bags over their heads, right? You can't do that. So you've got to give the fans something. We're going to trade away all of our really good players. We're going to start completely over again, but please don't bail on us. We brought in your hometown hero, Mike McCarthy, right? And I literally think that's what Pittsburgh's doing right now. You're going to see them trade away everyone and just pile up draft picks. But, Cheese, to be fair to the Pittsburgh Steelers, we've been saying this almost ever since we've started this show, and it's over a year, by the way. I had to go back and look and research and be like, wow, the two of us have been doing this for more than a year now. We've been saying this. Pittsburgh needs to do something like this. And now I think you're going to say this is terrible for Pittsburgh, but I'm going to stay on my same course and say, no, I don't think it's terrible for Pittsburgh. They've got to give their fans something. Here's Mike McCarthy. I'm not sure if that's the greatest something or not, but they got to give them something, right? They still got to come out and sell tickets, and they're just going to – now, they have to do what the rest of the story is. They have to sell off everybody. They have to bid farewell to everybody, and then they have to sell it to their fans as we've got to start over because this mediocrity that we've been in the last few years has not worked. So here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it. If they sell it that way, Cheese, do you think Pittsburgh's going to rebound from where they are right now, which is probably getting ready to burn that stadium to the ground? Oh,
Yep. This is not. I talked about this in the video. Maybe deep down they want to lose because next year's quarterback class should be amazing. 2027. Yes. We'll see if they trade down and get more picks till next year. We'll see what happens. But no, I don't think it's going to go well. I think their defense has some pieces, but overall wasn't a good defense. They have one weapon in DK Metcalf. The offensive line wasn't good. Tomlin's a better coach than McCarthy, in my opinion. So they won't win as many. I think they're going to win 6 or 7 games.
Well, I'm about to decide. I
don't know who's going to win quarterback
comparison. So
I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers not coming back. He was so ready for McCarthy to be gone. People are saying, "Oh, Rodgers, McCarthy." No. They're not. They're not.
You don't think so?
Rodgers. No.
So, I mean, you're the Packer guy. Was there that much discontent between the two of them at the end of their relationship?
The last few years, Rodgers would noticeably pissed on the sidelines about the play calling. They were not on the same page. You could see them. Just there was a disconnect.
Well, he was that way in the playoff game in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's the thing with Rodgers. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but Rodgers has always worn his emotions on his sleeve. I mean, like they kept showing the Atlanta head coach while they were just getting, and it was kind of like, his last game. Or no, I'm sorry, not Atlanta, Houston. They kept, like, every time Houston would have the Texans would have a fumble, they'd whoop over to their head coach and be like, okay, what's he going to give you? And he would just like roll his eyes, or maybe he'd shut his eyes for an extra couple seconds, but he wouldn't give you that face that you want on TV, or he wouldn't throw his headset or something like that, right? And I think they kept going to him like, okay, he'll do it eventually, and we'll be live right there when he does. And he never did. But yet every time something happens with Aaron Rodgers, he's going to show you that emotion, and he's going to throw stuff, and he's going to mouth words that should not be on television, and we're all going to see it. I'm not sure which one I like better. The guy that gives you not a whole lot of emotion but keeps his composure, or the guy that gives you all the emotion but kind of looks like a child all at the same time.
Rodgers, he didn't used to be that way when everything was good, when he had a lot of talent around him, but when you hadn't have as many as good receivers, when he didn't like the play calling, as he's gotten older, he will bitch and complain. There's no doubt about it. But so a lot of the times when he does, he's right. Like he'd get frustrated on the floor. You could see him I could read his lips. Bullshit play call. And I'm like, yes, it was a terrible, terrible play call. So, you wish you wouldn't say it, but yeah, I mean, I get it. So, well, real quick, I got a stat.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Have you heard this? Now, let me know if you've heard about this.
Okay.
Mike McDaniel and Jesse Minter withdrew consideration for the Browns job.
Yes.
Okay. We're like, okay, I get it, the Browns. But here is this is according to Tom Pelissero. The Browns are reportedly a data-driven operation. They have Andrew Berry as their GM, Harvard grad. He's terrible. They're requiring head coaching candidates to complete questionnaires, a multi-part essay, a personality test, and additional homework. Are you kidding me? Have you heard that?
I hadn't heard that till just now, but I mean, if that's the way they want to do it, it's their organization, right?
Who wants that job? They're going to end up with someone that's probably like way down on someone else's list. I just don't know who they're going to get. I have no clue. There's no rumors of anyone wanting that job. So what a disaster.
Right. I tell you what, let's stick with the Mike McCarthy, Mike Tomlin thing. Let's look at a side-by-side comparison of their career for a moment. And then I'm going to make another point to you, and I want to see how you feel about this. So Mike Tomlin has 19 years in the NFL. Mike McCarthy has 18 seasons in the NFL. Their regular season record, Tomlin's 193, 114, and 2. Of course, one of those being against, somebody else's team. And their other regular season, as far as Mike McCarthy goes, 174, 112, and 2. So Tomlin's winning percentage then becomes 628. Mike McCarthy's is 608. Tomlin is 8-12 in the playoffs. McCarthy is 11-11 in the playoffs, and these are again in their entire careers. Mike Tomlin has 8 division wins. Mike McCarthy has 8 division wins. Mike Tomlin has 1 Super Bowl victory. Mike McCarthy has 1 Super Bowl victory. There are a lot of similarities between the two of these. So if what I'm saying is right, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, they're basically getting the exact same coach, just with a hometown feel to him, while they dismantle this team, they've not really upgraded or they've not really downgraded in head coach. And what do you think about not really upgrading or downgrading when you're looking at head coach? And they didn't take a chance on a young guy. So I guess the question begs, what are they doing? What are they thinking if they're not doing what I'm saying, which is tearing this whole thing down?
Yeah, a lot of Steelers fans saying the same thing on X. I still think it's a downgrade, but I get why you said it's more of a lateral move. Possibly they know they're not going to be good for the next couple of years, so they didn't want to bring in a coach that's going to fail, and they just went with a retread Pittsburgh native, and they can say, oh, yeah, it's a good fit, whatever. So it's possible that they're just getting him for a couple of years, knowing it's going to rebuild, and then when they're ready to compete, we'll just go after some hot young coordinator. I don't know. I hope that's the case, because otherwise they just pissed off most of their fan base.
Yeah, I agree with, I think this is one of those moves where they need to announce like several things that are going on. This is not just, hey, we want you to love Mike McCarthy and here he is. There's got to be some other things they're planning with this, or at least I hope there is. And they need to sell it as a package, not just as a Mike McCarthy hire. We got one more team that we want to talk about before we get to those two games. That's the Buffalo Bills. We'll do that here in just a second. But I also want to say this, and I want to ask you your opinion on this. Not really a coaching thing, but it is a coaching thing. So according to JPA, one of the accounts that we follow big here, you can go over and do the same thing on our site. I reposted it up there to take a look at it. So the 49ers offensive coordinator, Klay Kubiak, who is son of Greg, right?
Gary Kubiak.
He
used to be a coach in the NFL, yeah.
Okay. So he had head coaching interest from both the Raiders and the Steelers, but he says, again, according to JPA, he has taken his name out of all of that stuff and says, I'm going to stay here with the San Francisco 49ers for at least the next season. What do you think played into that decision, and is that the right decision for Klay Kubiak to make?
Well, that's the thing that Mike McDaniel did. Do I take one of these bad jobs with a bad owner, with bad front office, where bad people running it, or do I, wait for a better job? And I think that's what he's doing. And I think that's a smart move. There are a lot of coaches that have just wanted a job and take a bad job, and then you might not ever get one again. There's only 32 of them. So you fail with a bad team and it's not your fault, you're going to get the blame. Coaches get the blame before GMs. So that's who usually gets the blame. That's who gets fired. So, I think it's a good move. I don't want the Raiders or Browns job. Definitely don't want the Browns job. They're not going to be good anytime soon. It's going to be years and years, and they don't have a good GM. So, yeah.
Right. So you can almost like derail your career with one taking the wrong coaching job. Then, right?
Can you imagine taking a job knowing we're going to stink for 2 years? We have Deshaun Watson still under contract. We have no quarterback. We have everyone on the offensive line's a free agent. We have no receivers. We just don't have the personnel. It's going to be bad. And you could coach there for 2 or 3 years. You're still losing and not your fault. And you're fired. And you just your career record is something like, 15-40, whatever, 40 something, because you just don't have any talent. So, yeah, I don't want the Browns job. Raiders have the first pick, but, Tom Brady's apparently making decisions, and he did a terrible job this past offseason. So, I don't know. I don't want those jobs either.
Yeah, we'll see about that. That'll be an interesting topic for another time is Tom Brady making these decisions, and he owns 3% of the Raiders or something like that. So it's like, okay, your 3% means
Mark
nothing.
Davis, the owner, has no clue. He is.
Yeah, but that is true. So maybe it's because the actual owner is inept, and that's the reason why somebody else is trying to take over those decisions. We'll talk about that at another show, another time. The Buffalo Bills. So the Bills owner, Terry Pegula, I believe is how you say it.
Sure.
We'll go with that, right? In a press conference, tried to throw Sean McDermott under the bus, saying the coaches pushed to draft wide receiver Keenan Coleman, who has not worked out after being selected with the first pick in the second round of the 2024 draft. But then he doubled down in stupidity and admitted that it was his decision later on in the exact same press conference.
Well, Brandon beat the GM. admitted.
Oh, okay, so
the owner tried to blame the coaches, and then later on, Brandon Beane, who made the pick, had to say, no, actually, I made that pick. So so the owner was basically trying to justify his firing of McDermott, saying he did this, and because there's been a fan backlash. Bills fans are not happy that Brandon Beane kept his job and McDermott did.
Yeah, so I mean, does this mean that behind the scenes, maybe the Bills organization isn't ran as well as we think it might be?
Oh, it's a mess. Bad owner. I don't know why Brandon Beane can keep his job. We've talked about him. We talked about it on Tuesday. But he has done a bad job. He's got Josh Allen. He's got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He has not put a good team around him. Their receiving core stinks. The defense can't stop the run. He basically built a team to play the Chiefs because the Chiefs don't even try to run the ball. But then he loses the Chiefs in the postseason every year, except this year the Chiefs didn't even make it. So they struggle against teams that run the ball. And Josh Allen, there are games where the receivers just cannot get open. So it's a mess there. And yes, they're still going to be contender next year because they have Allen, but it shows you that the ownership is bad. I didn't really know how bad the ownership was. It's the owner tried to blame McDermott for something he didn't do. So he lied. And then he threw a receiver's been in the league 2 years, can still develop, under the bus. It's basically saying he's a bust. He stinks. I mean, yes, he's been bad. He was a healthy scratch some games this year, but that's not how you handle it. And now you pretty much have to trade that receiver. He threw him under the bus. It's a mess there in Buffalo. I would be so upset if I'm a Bills fan.
I mean, if there's one position that I saw that was a glaring weakness for the Bills, it's wide receiver. Why would you throw that guy under the bus?
Yeah, they don't have a one or a two. All their guys are a bunch of 3, 4s, maybe 5s. I mean, Khalil Shakir is probably a number 3. The rest of them are just guys that should be playing special teams. It's just not a good group. And I see why Mike McDaniel turned it down. I don't want to work with Brandon Beane or Terry Pegula or whatever his name is. I don't want to work with them, even with Josh Allen. Mike McDaniel withdrew. That tells you all you need to know. He didn't want that job. He thinks he can find a better job next year. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's not even like Mike McDaniel was tops on the list. I mean, Mike McDaniel was a fired head coach from Miami. Whether you think it was his fault or not, it's kind of irrelevant right at the moment in this discussion. I don't think Mike McDaniel was the number 1 guy on anybody's list. Now, I don't think he was way down to beyond 10. But so Mike McDaniel is a middle of the road kind of guy. And this middle of the road guy said to your organization, no, thank you.
Yeah. I think they're going to hire either Joe Brady or Phillip Rivers.
I saw that yesterday. I was going to bring that up at the end where Phillip Rivers interviewed for this. Phil, I mean, I know you came back. And I know you're
the starting quarterback of the Colts. He's the starter of the Colts, right?
Right. I mean, come on now. I know you, like I say, I know you came back and I know you probably got this itch. It's like, oh, I missed this. And okay. You might want to rethink your path here because, you may be another few years and done. So, yeah, a little weird. I don't really think that's going to happen. And if it does, that's just going to be a huge segment for us sometime here on this particular show. So wrapping up the coaching, are we good on the coaching stuff, sir? Because I want to do one more thing before we jump into the 2 games real fast.
Yes. Okay,
excellent. First of all, thank you guys. We are number 1. We follow over 7,500 people on Twitter, and there are lots of people that are doing live podcasts on X, and we, because of you, are right now number 1. Here's what I want to do. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, let's do 12. So before we get into these conference games, these are the championship games. Let me tell you the last 12 teams and how long it's been since they made the conference championship, which were the games that happened last week. I think this is interesting because we've talked about several of these teams. So Atlanta hasn't made it since 2017. Arizona, 2016. And I'm going to do the final 12 teams, okay? The final 12 teams on the list. It's been long time for them. The Carolina Panthers, we didn't talk about them much this time, 2016. Indianapolis Colts haven't made it since 2015. The New York Football Giants haven't made it since 2012. The Chicago Bears, why are they on this list? Because they made the games last week, right?
They made it in 2011. They lost the Packers in the NFC title.
Right. The Jets are right there with them. So when everybody's like, "Oh, the Jets are terrible," the Bears are just as bad. They haven't made it since 2011. The Chargers, who we talked about earlier, haven't made it since 2008.
Oh,
and
wow.
then, yes,
That's a long time. And you had Phillip Rivers for so long. Okay.
Right? But he's going to be the next coach of the Buffalo Bills. Anyway. So we still got a few more teams here. The Las Vegas Raiders haven't made the conference championship since 2003.
Wow.
The Dallas Cowboys haven't made the conference championship. Remember earlier when I was like, "Oh, it's just about Jerry and it's not really about football anymore."
1990s? Is it still in the 90s?
Yes. And this stat should prove it to you.
Okay.
The Dallas Cowboys haven't made the conference championship since 1996.
That's 30 years.
Yes. But there are still 3 teams that are worse than that.
Oh, God.
The Miami Dolphins haven't made it since 1993. One that you would probably expect. The Cleveland Browns haven't made it since 1990, which, by the way, was the year that I graduated high school, and I'm 52 years old. To give you
Ernest Biner. That's Ernest Biner. Yes. Bernie Kosar.
That's. I mean,
they're in their 60s. Wow.
Anyway, thanks for making me feel even older than I was trying to make myself feel. I appreciate it. And then there's a team that has never been to the conference championship. Do you know which team it is by chance, Cheese?
I know Detroit has. I know the Jaguars have.
It's more because of when they were in the league.
It's got to be Houston Texans.
Yes, the Houston Texans. That's correct. They have never made the conference championship team. So,
but the Houston Oilers have. Yeah.
Yes. So there you go. Just some stats on how terrible some teams have been for quite a long time. And football or Reggie, I'm just going to leave it there, right? Reggie, I love you, but you and your son can't say a whole lot of positive things about your Dallas Cowboys, knowing that they haven't made the conference championship since 1996.
And they've had number 1 and number 2 seeds going into the playoffs a lot of years, some of those years.
They had a great offense this year. We have said this. I keep saying it over and over and over again. And I say it not because I want to knock the Cowboys. I say it because Jerry Jones needs to give up and go home. Go to the retirement center and just, stare at nurses' butts for the rest of your life, which is probably not going to be very long.
That's where you went.
Yes, that's where I went. Get out of football. We understand you've got just as much money as the guy for the New York Mets does in baseball, and you guys are the same kind of thing, but both teams are pretty much the same way. They go out and get a lot of really good players, and then they don't do nothing with them.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mets have Juan Soto right now. He's not a Star Wars character. They have Juan Soto right now, and the Dallas Cowboys have one of the better offenses in the league. They had 2 great receivers that were over 1,000 yards apiece. They had a 4,000-yard quarterback and a 1,000-yard running back, and they weren't even close to the playoffs.
They won 7 games.
What are you doing? But now we don't want to focus on the bad. Let's turn it and focus on the good. Cheese, which game do you want to start with? New England and Denver or Seattle and LA? Which game do you want to start with, buddy?
All right, we got 30 minutes. Let's go Patriots at Broncos.
Okay.
The Patriots are favored by 4.5. We'll get back to that. It's the largest road favorite in AFC Championship history. It actually opened at 5.5, but the spread has moved to 4.5, so more people are betting Denver. The Patriots are 0-4 in the playoffs in Denver and 0-2 in AFC title games. A lot of those were Tom Brady. A big story here. I wonder if John Elway might have been involved. We'll see. Anyway, a big story here is Bo Nix, the quarterback for the Broncos, is out for this season with an injured ankle. And backup Jarrett Stidham will start at quarterback. That's why the Patriots are favored by so much. Besides Nix, running back J.K. Dobbins is out. And I just saw that Troy Franklin, their number 3 receiver, is also out. He is inactive. He could not go. For the Patriots, their sack leader Harold Landry is out. Cornerback Carlton Davis is coming off a concussion, but he is expected to play. So let's go back to Stidham, okay? He was a 4th-round pick by the Patriots. Now he plays for Denver, out of Auburn. He's played for the Raiders as well. I remember when he came out. So I watched him a lot at Auburn. You know, I was living in Tennessee at the time, watched a lot of SEC football, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he had this really good sophomore year and beat Alabama. It looked like he might be a first, maybe 2nd-round pick. And then his junior year, not nearly as good. Completion percentage went way down. He just didn't look as confident, as poised. And I honestly thought he was 7th round undrafted. That's kind of the grade I had on him. Maybe a power practice squad quarterback. Goes in the 4th round. He's, as a prospect, I remember he's, you know, decent arm, not great arm. Decent athleticism, not great. Just pretty good in short intermediate throws. Does not have accuracy down the field. Not a great deep ball. So all those factors lead to backup. He just doesn't have the tools to be a starter. And he's, you know, started, I believe, 4 games, 1-3, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So not ideal. He played 2 seasons in New England, 1 with the Raiders, 3 with the Broncos. So what do you expect? He's not thrown. Sorry, one more thing. He's not thrown a pass in the last 2 years. Mike, what do you expect from Jarrett Stidham today?
Well, I'll give you a couple more things, right? Stidham, for his last 4 games, he's 1-3, but you know those have been in a 6-year time span, right? Mm-hmm. He is, you know, and for everybody out there, I want to make sure Cheese gets all the credit for this stuff. A lot of what we're talking about right now was Cheese's stuff. I'm just regurgitating what Cheese has put in our notes here. Okay, so something else that he didn't say, he's completed only 59.4% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and his pitiful quarterback rating over that time span, 78.3. So now let me get to your question, because I wanted to throw some of those negative type stuff out there real fast. What do I expect from Stidham? You're probably going to be shocked at this. I expect him to have a good game.
Okay.
Not a great game. He's still a good quarterback. That offense isn't really tailored to anybody as far as I'm concerned, because Bo Nix, it's not like Bo Nix throws, 50-yard bombs all the time, or it's not like Bo Nix does this really well or that really well. Bo Nix is one of those quarterbacks that does these 4 things average or a tick above average, and we just go back and forth between these 4 things that he does really well, and we keep the defense guessing as to what in the world we're going to do. There's a lot of, like let's say the tush push, for example. There's a lot of times where when the Eagles line up and they've got a 4th and 1, we all know what's coming. So does the other team. In Denver's case, I believe, we're not real sure what's coming with Bo Nix behind center, because he does a lot of stuff a little above average. And I think Jason will come right in and do the same thing at quarterback today for the Denver Broncos.
Okay. I'll talk about this when we do our predictions. I'm not as confident as you, but Sean Payton has done a good job with backups in the past, and so he had a week. We'll see what his game plan is. The last time a backup quarterback won a title game was in 2018 when Nick Foles, the Eagles, beat the Vikings and then beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and he was named MVP of the Super Bowl, a backup quarterback. Do you think it's possible that Stidham could have the same outcome?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm also going to say wait a few minutes till we get to our predictions, and I'll give you more of a reason why at that point. But for the time being, we'll keep people around. Yes. Okay.
I disagree. All right. So I expect Sean Payton to run the ball. And I expect him to a lot of short throws, a lot of easy throws just to get, especially early on. What would your game plan be if you're Sean Payton?
I agree with that. He's probably gonna do RJ Harvey more, because I don't believe Dobbins is going to be in this game, right?
Yeah, he's out. So RJ Harvey will be the running back one.
Yeah, that I'm telling you, I think Dobbins being out is just as bad as Bo Nix being out. To be honest with you, yeah, that's really bad for Denver as well. But
yeah, RJ Harvey's a rookie. He's had some good games, some not so good games. He's not the best at picking up blitzes. Dobbins is a veteran, and I think they would have featured him more if he was healthy.
It's definitely going to be a different game plan. And I think it's going to be something very specific. But we'll like I said, I'll kind of get to more of that in the prediction that we'll do in a moment. So I know you also want to talk about the turnovers and stuff in the NFL games this season. We have to, because I said last week how terrible these games have been, and this is the stat that I kept pointing to. So let's talk about the turnovers in the postseason so far in the NFL.
There's been so many. I mean, even Drake May has, in 2 games, 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles, but the Patriots overcame that, and because they dominated the Chargers defensively, and they forced 5 turnovers against the Houston Texans. So,
well, the Texans kind of forced their own turnovers, but okay.
True. Do you think Drake May can still turn the ball over a few times and win this game?
That's probably the best question you're going to ask me about this game. Because I'm not sure. You know, we were talking off air, like I'm not 100% sure who I'm going to pick in this game, and I'm not 100% sure who I'm going to pick in that game. I think more than anything, this is going to be the big telling stat of the day. Does Drake May, and you know what? Maybe you can answer this for me. Is it because he is a new quarterback? Is it because he's facing better competition? Is it a combination of all the above? And now you're going to add the altitude of Denver and the noise in Denver, which is underrated. You guys are going to hear it today on the broadcast. The noise is going to be insane. And then the second thing that I think a lot of people, or the other thing I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking with this whole thing, is this is still a really, really good defense. And I have read a lot where basically Sean Payton all week has said, no, we don't have Bo Nix. No, we don't have J.K. Dobbins, but this defense, and he is rallying these guys. Go punch out that ball. Go tackle that guy in space. He's telling his defense, we need to win this game. And that is bad for Drake May and the Patriots.
Yeah, one more stat I want to throw out there. Starting running back Ramondre Stevenson, the Patriots, has 17 career fumbles, 10 in the last 2 years.
Ow.
But he hasn't fumbled since week 5. It seemed like he was fumbling every game early on. So, Denver is going to try to punch it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When we get to the playoffs, we talked about this. When we're doing predictions, when I'm doing it, definitely, I look at who's got the best quarterback and who has the best defense. If yes to both, I'm picking that team. Would you agree the Patriots had the better quarterback? I think it's obvious. But the Broncos had the better defense? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And that's what makes this game so intriguing, right?
Right. I still don't know who I'm going to pick, but okay. Key matchup. Yeah, we got to go. Okay, what's your key matchup? You want to go first? Or you want me to go?
No, go ahead and go first because I don't really have a key matchup per se, but I know you do. So go ahead.
Okay. So rookies, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson are the left tackle and left guard of New England.
Okay.
First, the Broncos pass rush had 68 sacks. Those guys really have to play well, or they're going to have to give them some help because both have struggled in these 2 games in the playoffs. So that is potential disaster for New England. What about you?
I mean, I think the key matchup in this game is Sean Payton's brain versus the entire New England Patriots. Because I think Sean Payton is not only that, but your next thing is going to be who's the X factor. For me, it's Sean Payton. Brilliant mind. Okay. What can he do with this offense? Can he do enough with this offense to get them to win? Okay.
And yeah, absolutely. And he's going to have, like I said, he's done good with quarterbacks. He's going to have some plan for Stidham. That New England's not ready for. My X factor, Patriots, TreVeyon Henderson. He's a home run hitter. He's a playmaker. I would feature him more than Stevenson. Henderson, I don't think fumbled at Ohio State. You can in college at all. You probably know that.
No, he did not. Or if it was, it was minimal, maybe once. But
right,
hardly.
So I'm featuring Henderson more. I don't want someone that's going to fumble. I can't trust Stevenson. So I would feature TreVeyon Henderson more. Really good rookie running back. And then for the Broncos, my X factor is Marvin Mims. he has been kind of a second-round bust, but he had a really good game last week. 8 catches, 93 yards, a touchdown. And Christian Gonzalez is going to follow Cortland Sutton around and probably shut him down. Cortland Sutton's good, but he's not great. So I think Marvin Mims with Troy Franklin also has to step up and have a big game for the Broncos and help out Jared Stidham. And your X factor, you said, was Sean Payton?
Yeah, my X factor is Sean Payton, and the other part of it is just we're acting like the Patriots have superstars, and they really don't.
Yeah. We're featuring two of the best corners in the NFL, Christian Gonzalez and Patrick Surtain. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who Patrick Surtain's going to fall around because the Patriots, they have a deep core. They don't have that one guy, maybe Stephon Diggs, but
right.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The other corner, I would say Riley Moss gets as many penalties as any defensive back in the league. That's something else to watch out for. He's great. He gets grabby. Okay. Patriots favored by 4.5. Who wins? Who covers? You want to go first?
I'll go first because I'm probably going to shock everybody here. Sean Payton has established a strong track record with backup quarterbacks going 12-8 when forced to turn to them during injury like in a game. Wow. But his success rate increases, you ready? To 12-3 when the backup has been on his roster for at least 2 seasons. Would you like to know how many seasons that Mr. Stidham has been on the Denver Broncos roster?
3?
3, yes. Yeah. So over the last decade, he's 14-8 when a record in games without his primary starter. And that is Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston, and Luke McCowan, by the way.
Okay.
Those are the quarterbacks that he has used. I mean, Taysom Hill, he went 7-2, Teddy Bridgewater 5-0, Jameis Winston 5-2. So I mean, he has been able, he being Sean Payton, has been able to take these guys, and I think what he does is fantastic. I know we're running short on time, so I won't go through a whole bunch of stuff, but he's able to mold around the quarterback that he has under center, and I think you're going to see that done again today. I am not only going to pick the Denver Broncos to win, I am going to pick the Denver Broncos to win by more than 7 points.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say this. The Broncos defense is such good pass defense. Pass rush, corners, great. New England needs, like I said, feature TreVeyon Henderson, run the ball and get ahead. You don't want Drake May throwing 50 times. He's going to get sacked, and he's turned the ball over a lot. And I think that may continue if they get behind. So, Patriots by 4.5. Give me the Broncos to cover, and when you convince me, I'm taking the Broncos because of the pass rush, even with Troy Franklin out, even with Dake Dobbins out. I think Harvey has a good game, makes a play. So give me Marvin Mims makes a play. Give me the Broncos win a very close game, cover, and win. Okay, we got to hurry now. All right. Okay. Rams at Seahawks. Okay, Seahawks favored by 2.5, so basically it's a coin flip. Mm-hmm. Anything 3 or less is basically a coin flip. These two teams split in the regular season. 21-19 victory, Rams in LA, and then the Seahawks won 38-37 in the game of the year, in my opinion, in Seattle a month ago. For the Rams, edge rusher Byron Young is questionable with a knee injury, and Seahawks, their backup running back, Zach Charbonnet, tore his ACL out for the year. He really had a good season, really came on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sam Darnold. His career against the Rams in 5 games, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 4 of those games have been the last 2 seasons. So basically the good Sam Darnold, not the early season bad Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. However, it's 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions if you don't count that loss in LA, that 21-19 early this season where he threw 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Just terrible game for him. Darnold struggled in the playoffs last year, his only playoff game against that Chris Shula-led defense. And when he was the quarterback of the Vikings, they lost 27-9. Okay. Got a lot of stats here. We'll get to the second here.
You're good. I love them. Go.
To me, watching those games, the Seahawks outplayed the Rams in LA, but found a way to lose. And the Rams outplayed the Seahawks in Seattle, but found a way to lose. 2 close games. 3 points decided both games. The Seahawks this year are 15-3, including the playoffs. Their 3 losses were a combined 9 points. And each game they lost, they had multiple turnovers. They were -2 against the Buccaneers, lost by 3. They were -3 against the Rams, lost by 2 points. What do you think about that stat? What does it tell you?
Well, I mean, it's an obvious stat. I mean, I don't want to knock your stats here because I love them, but it's the same thing that Sean Payton said to his defense. When the other team loses the ball, we win. It's not only have they proven it, but the Seahawks just proved it. The only 3 times they lost, they were losing in a turnover battle. Turnovers are really, really important, and in my opinion, that's what makes some of these games look really bad, because these are supposed to be the 4 best teams left in the NFL. And if everything continues and they keep losing the ball and they keep fumbling and interception and everything else, I'm just going to be frustrated and probably watch WWE for the remainder of Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Darnold, a lot of people don't know this. He had 20 total turnovers. That's more than any player in the NFL. 14 picks.
Just this season he had 20 total turnovers?
Yeah, 14 interceptions, 6 fumbles.
Ow.
6 in the 2 games against the Rams. And he's been sacked 16 times in his last 4 games against LA in the last 2 seasons. So I think, and you can see if you agree with me or not, that Seattle is a slightly better team. But the NFL is about matchups. And this could be a bad matchup for the Seahawks based on those stats. Do you agree?
Yeah, I certainly agree. I didn't realize the stats were that bad. I mean, that's yuck.
Both teams, we got to talk about this real quick. Mm-hmm. They feature maybe the 2 best receivers in the NFL statistically this year, Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigba. In fact, If you watch these teams, both offenses are designed around these guys. Get these guys the ball, let them make plays. Mm-hmm. Do you agree? I'm sure you agree with that.
Yes. You can move right along, sir.
Okay. They also have 2 underrated running backs, Kyren Williams and Kennard Walker. I think they're 2 of the best 10 running backs in the NFL, but no one really talks about them. Would you agree with that as well?
Wow. 2 of the top 10 in the NFL?
Yeah. And look at analytics. They love these guys.
We're going to have to do some more on this, because I don't know if I'd agree with you, but maybe you can convince me. We'll have to do a deeper dive on this. So you're saying Kyren Williams and Kennard Walker are 2 of the top 10 running backs in the NFL? Probably
not top 5, but I'd put him top 10.
All right, you're going to have to do some more convincing with me on that one, buddy.
Yeah, we'll do the top 10 running backs one show this offseason on Lights Out.
Oh, there we go. I like it.
Okay. All right. Rams obviously have the probable MVP in Matt Stafford. Drake May's probably going to get second, by the way. Just not in the notes, but just thought maybe we'll see how the refs call the game, but maybe the NFL wants Drake May and Stafford in the title in the Super Bowl. Maybe they don't want Jarrett Stidham. We'll see how it's officiated. Just throwing it out there. Not trying to be conspiracy theorists. Yes, I am. Okay. Once again, we talk about quarterback and defense, but I think no one's talking about this. Special teams can be a factor as well. The Rams have the better quarterback, but the Seahawks, to me, have one of the best special teams units in the NFL, and the Rams have one of the worst. Okay. What about defense? Who do you think has the better defense?
Well, I want to agree with you on special teams. I saw this part in the notes yesterday when you sent it to me, and I started looking, and it's not even close. I didn't realize the Rams were that bad, and I also didn't realize the Seahawks were that good. So I think before this game is over, that's probably going to be a telling thing before it's all said and done. And I'll be watching both sides of the special teams because of it. As far as their defense goes, let me give you a defensive stat for the Seattle Seahawks. I know we're crushed on time here, but I'll do it real fast. The Seahawks have not allowed a play to gain more than 20 yards in 3 straight games. And they are the only defense ever in NFL history to allow that in the playoffs.
Wow. That's they've had one of the best offenses and defenses all year in the NFL. All right. Well, key matchup. I'll go first. My key matchup is for Seattle. It's the 2 guards, Gray Zabel, Anthony Bradford, in pass protection, because both of them really struggled in the last game. In the Seahawks win 38-37, they really struggled against people like Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner, really athletic defensive tackles. So Anthony Bradford's one of the worst guards in the NFL. I don't know how they haven't benched him yet. And Gray Zabel's had a good rookie year, but he really struggled against Kobe Turner. So I think those Seahawks guards need to hold up well for the Seahawks to win the game. What is your key matchup?
Well, my key matchup is going to be kind of the same thing that you're talking about, but it goes back to the Sam Darnold thing. We saw Sam Darnold just implode once last year, and it was the last game that he was in the season. So if how is he going to take this pressure, as you're talking about with the 2 guards? If he gets pressured and he gets rattled, Sam Darnold seems to fall apart. and I think he's going to get some pressure. I think he's going to get rattled, and we'll see if Sam Darnold can keep it together.
Yeah, Jared Verse off the edge versus Charles Cross. That's another one. Really good left tackle in Charles Cross. Jared Verse, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Maybe not like top 5, but he's very good pass rusher. So that should be a good matchup as well. Yeah, Darnold, he had no pressure last week. 49ers couldn't get any pressure. He was fine. They won easily. So it's going to be different.
Which I thought was very unusual because I'd have pressured him all day. But whatever.
Well, the 49ers have no pass rush. They couldn't get any. It's a personnel, but they have so many injuries to the defensive line. All right, X Factor. I think Nate Landman for the Rams. He seems to be he's a breakout year, got a contract extension. He seems to get his hands on balls every game, some kind of tip ball. On the Bears touchdown, their first touchdown, he missed the ball by just like centimeters from knocking that down, that 4th down touchdown. If he knocks it down, the Bears don't come close to winning. So I think Nate Landman could get a hand on some of the balls. Darnold's known for throwing the ball over the middle, throwing it kind of low. So I'm wondering if Landman gets a hand on a ball, causes interception. And my X factor of the Seahawks, Rashid Shaheed, he was a midseason trade from the Saints. He had a punt return last week, and we've talked about the Rams. They don't cover kicks well. If Shaheed gets a couple big returns, the Rams could be in trouble. What player or players are your X factor?
I'm just going to go with one because I know where we're at on time. I think we're going to find out today, and I'm very curious to know the answer after this game is all said and done. Is Jackson Smith-Njigba a number 1 receiver? We all know where the balls are going to today. Seattle really, in my opinion, doesn't have a 2 or a 3 guy. So when they're going down, and the Rams do, I know you got Puka as the clear-cut number 1, but they got some other guys in there too. They got Adams and everything else that you can still get the ball to. Got a pretty decent tight end as well. So is Jackson Smith-Njigba a number 1 receiver? Can he do the contested catches? Can he run the route right? Can him and Darnold have a really good game plan? Can they be on the same page? I'm really interested to see how all of that comes out today versus the Rams.
The Rams lead the league in scoring. The Seahawks lead the league in not giving up points. So, yeah, you mentioned Adams. What the Rams are going to do is play 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. Very tough to stop because it helps the running game having the tight ends, and you have 2 number 1 receivers basically. We hadn't talked about Devontae Adams. He had a great year. It helps having Stafford as a quarterback.
It helps having the number 2, right?
Yeah. So their offense is going to score points, but Seattle's got to keep scoring as well. Okay, Seahawks by 2.5. Who you got? Who wins? Who covers?
Okay, so I believe, I said it earlier, I think their big X factor is Sam Darnold, but I love what Seattle did. And this might be kind of an unconventional way to look at it, but I love what Seattle did. They signed Sam Darnold to more of an incentive-laden contract. Sam Darnold's already secured an extra $2.5 million with the incentives that he has gotten in the playoffs. And if he wins today, he gets another $500,000 more. Now, you may say, well, that doesn't mean a whole lot to these really high-paid NFL players, but I think it does. And I think that incentive-laden contracts push people to play better. I think Sam Darnold today, even though he's 28 years old and he's signed for another 2 years at $63 million, which, when you're doing your wrap-up part, if you want to discuss 2 years, $63 million for Sam Darnold in Seattle, feel free to do so. But I think that because of what they've done with Sam Darnold, he's going to perform better today. And because of his performance today, I'm going to pick Seattle to win, and I'm going to pick Seattle to cover.
So you like both home teams. So I actually had my notes. I was going to pick the Patriots to win and Broncos to cover. You convinced me to switch because I think they're going to force turnovers. And you convinced me Stidham's going to play better than I thought. Yeah. So
I think it's Sean Payton more than it is Stidham. Yeah. But yes.
Okay. If you believe the NFL is fixed and rigged, then you're picking Patriots Rams because you got Drake May versus Matt Stafford. That's what the NFL would probably want.
Probably.
So I got to pick one of those 2 teams, right? So I think the Rams, it's a bad matchup for Seattle. If the Rams don't screw up in special teams, I think they win. I think they're going to score a lot of points. If they do screw up in special teams, I think Seattle wins. So just don't mess up on special teams, Rams. So give me the Rams to win, obviously cover the 2.5, win a very close game. Like I said, the first 2 matchups decided by 3 points. Crazy. Comes down the wire, and the Rams get the win. Very close game. So yeah, okay. So we both like the Broncos. You like the Seahawks. I like the Rams. Oh, can't wait! It's about to start. It's gonna be fun.
All right. So, do we have a couple seconds to talk about if it's going to be rigged? And okay, that's an intriguing thought, right? Because you're right. They don't want. I mean, the NFL does not want Denver with no quarterback in the Super Bowl, right?
Jared Stidham. You can't market that.
No, that would be at least extremely difficult. You would have to flip. And then they don't have a running back to market. They don't really have one huge defensive guy that everybody knows their name to market. How are you going to market the Denver Broncos if they make it to the Super Bowl if you're the NFL?
Yeah, their best defensive player is a corner, Pat Surtain. So you could do Bo Nix, Sean Payton maybe, but Bo Nix isn't playing. The Bo Nix, Sean Payton, young quarterback. They can do that with Drake May, Mike Vrabel. They can do that, but they can't do it with Denver. And Sam Darnold's another one. That's not a sexy, in Seattle. Jackson Smith and Jigba, okay, he had a breakout year, but yeah, but you can do the Rams, Puka Nacua, Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams. So if you believe the NFL's fixed, we'll see what happens. Watch officiating closely.
Yeah, we will. It'll be interesting.
I really think the Chiefs got a lot of help from the officials against the Bills in the championship game last year. And it didn't matter in the NFC title game because the Eagles just whooped the crap out of Washington. So watch the officiating real closely.
But you want the Eagles before you want Washington in the playoffs anyway. So the NFL just sat back and said, okay, they're already killing them. We don't have to.
Of course they did. Of course they did. Just watch the officiating closely. If it favors New England, if it favors LA, then we know that the fix may be in. I hope not. I want it to be officiated.
But it's an interesting thing to keep your eye on, as you're going through and watching the games.
Yep. All right.
All right, buddy. Hey, I appreciate you.
We made it just in time.
All right. Excellent. Appreciate you very much. You know that, man, we really prepared for this show, and we did a really good job on it. I think our fans thought the same thing. So we appreciate each and every one of them. Of course, Lights Out podcast on Tuesday night. What time is that, Cheese?
8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, 6 Mike time. That's you.
6 Mike time, which is the important time. Yeah.
Yes. And when the time change in March, it'll switch a little bit because Mike's time in Arizona stays the same, but everyone else switches. So, but if right now it's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And if you are watching YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe.
Right. So what I think Cheese just said to everybody is you should come out to Arizona with me. The time doesn't change, and we don't get snow and ice and all that other crap. So, yay, Arizona.
We usually don't, but it's going to be 21 tomorrow night. So, yay.
The same as his age. All right, everyone. We appreciate you. Yes. Thank you guys very much for being with us. Thank you guys very much for being with us. Enjoy the games today. Should be a great NFL Sunday. And Cheese and I will talk about it more on Tuesday. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. And even though it's an NFL show, we're still going to say the same thing at the end. The only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base lines. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everyone.